up guys, Bill Marnich here, training with a Y. Today's video we're gonna go over the back squat. Okay, I'm gonna start off by showing you guys how to set it up, foot placement, where your knees should be. Then we're gonna go over the difference between a high bar squat and a low bar squat. And then towards the end, we're gonna go over some tips and tricks. Meet you at the rack. So the first thing we're gonna go over with the squat is the stance, okay? Your foot placement and where your knees should go. I want you to stand about shoulder width apart, maybe slightly wider, and your knees slightly out, okay? Not straight ahead. Knees slightly out, and then when you're gonna do a squat, you're gonna think about driving your knees out with your same width as your toes. You can go all the way down, full depth, all the way up. So if you feel you want to show the bar, what we're gonna go over today, guys, here in a second, is the bar placement and the difference between the high bar and the low bar. So real quick, I'll just show you the difference between the two before we go into it. With a high bar, simply on top of your traps. Most of you guys probably do that one. And then the low bar is underneath your scap or shoulder blades. A little bit less common, but we'll go over that one as well. Let me go ahead and warm up first, okay? You always want to start warming up with the bar, an empty bar, and work your way up from there. So let me go ahead and get started warming up. Now that we warmed up and got some weight on the bar, we're gonna go ahead and get started with the high bar squat. High bar, because I'm guessing that's what most of you guys do, more common. Okay, so now remember, the high bar is when the bar is placed on top of your traps, higher on your back, okay, towards the neck. And with any squat, the focus is on keeping the bar over the midfoot, okay, over your shoelaces. That's the whole point. You want the bar to move in a straight path, straight up, straight down over your midfoot. Next is your elbows. You're gonna want your elbows underneath the bar, pulling the bar into your traps on the way down and helping press the bar on the way up. In a high bar squat, you're gonna wanna make sure that your eyes are straight ahead, if not slightly up, to maintain your balance. The last thing is the hips. In my opinion, a correct squat is where you reach full depth, full range of motion, meaning that your hip joint travels below your kneecap. To visualize this, your shorts or your pants wrinkle, that's where your hip joint is, should be lower than your kneecap at all times. And that's the high bar back squat. Moving on to the low bar squat. The benefits of the low bar versus the high bar is that the low bar is more back and hip dominant. So you're gonna be able to move more weight than the high bar. And it's a powerlifting variation. Again, anybody can do it, but it is a powerlifting variation just because more weight can be moved this way. Now, the bar placement is lower on your back, obviously. It's gonna be actually underneath your scap, underneath your shoulder blade. So if you reach back and touch your scap, it's gonna be right below that, okay? The position of the bar lower on your back causes a more forward lean. This ensures that the bar stays over your midfoot. Don't fight that. Your thumbs should be on top of the bar with the rest of your hand, pushing the bar into your back. Your elbows should be raised, creating a shelf that allows the bar to be secure on your back. Also, be aware that your eye placement is different. In this, your eyes are going to be out in front of you and slightly down. So on the floor in front of you. With the hips, we're always going to go full depth, ass to grass, so below the knee. So some tips and tricks. The first one that comes to mind is when learning the squat or just reviewing technique, whether it's the high bar or low bar, what I highly suggest is doing pauses or holds at the very bottom, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, static holds. You'll learn a lot about your technique, a lot about your strength by pausing at the bottom. If you're a little off balanced, if you're not comfortable in a certain position, you're gonna feel it and it's gonna reveal itself pretty quickly, okay? The second tip I have, and it might seem simple, but not a lot of people think about it, is clothing and footwear. When you're squatting, I highly recommend not trying to squat in dry fit, Under Armour type material. It's just like a sheet of ice on your back, cutoffs because your shoulders get sweaty. It's already hard enough keeping the bar on your back. You don't want to add extra variables to it. And then pants. I always squat in sweatpants, something loose, sweatpants. Shorts, basketball shorts are great, but a lot of them get too tight around your thighs. They can get tight around your knees. You don't want anything to restrict how low you can go. And then footwear. So I have, you've probably seen the video, I have squatting shoes, Olympic shoes. If you don't have a pair, that's fine. My suggestion would be trying to squat in anything that's flat or relatively flat, flatter the better. Vans, Converse, anything that has a flat surface, or simply squatting in barefoot, socks or barefoot. Bulky shoes just add too much of a variable.
Lighten the weight.
And my last tip is lightening the weight, okay? So I know a lot of you are gonna see the depth that I recommended today. In my opinion, that's the only way to squat. You're gonna say that you can't do it. Yeah, of course you're not gonna be able to do it with maximal or near maximal weight. Lighten the weight, do it, do the pauses with it, and of course the more you do it, the easier it will get. It's the only way. If you never squat low, you're never gonna be able to. Squatting low not only adds flexibility, but you're gonna recruit a lot more muscle, glutes, abductors, and hamstrings, okay? So that's the squat video, some tips, tricks, whenever the high bar and low bar. I hope you guys learned anything. Phil, is there anything else?
Oh man, I think that's it.
All right guys, well until next time, remember, why do you train?